Hello and welcome to Wasted Plotential, the show where we discuss the wasted potential of our favourite plotlines. It's funny, really, that Sub-Zero and Scorpion are seen as this iconic, all-time classic fighting game rivalry, but they're not really. A lot of MK fans have commented on my MKX critique that they really enjoyed seeing Scorpion and Sub-Zero finally bury the hatchet and become friends. And I'm just thinking, yeah, I really liked that moment too. Back in 1993. I guess that's how you can tell an old fan from a new fan whether they think the rivalry ended in 93 or 2015. It all goes back to MK1, where it was always planned for there to be these two rival ninjas even before any specific details were conceived for either of them. Sub-Zero, Bi-Han, killed Scorpion 2 years ago, and Scorpion is back from the dead to seek revenge through the tournament while Sub-Zero is trying to assassinate Shang Tsung. After the tournament concludes, Scorpion kills him and goes back to hell. In MK2, Sub-Zero's younger brother, Kuai Liang, heads to Outworld to finish his brother's mission. Not to seek revenge, but to restore the honour of his brother, the Sub-Zero name, and the Lin Kuei clan. Scorpion hears about Sub-Zero's return and believes that Bi-Han has returned from the dead like he did. He heads to Outworld and, depending on the source, either witnesses Sub-Zero uncharacteristically spare an opponent in the tournament, or just kind of figures it out before then. Feeling remorse for taking this man's brother from him and for attempting to kill an innocent man, Scorpion vows to become Kuai Liang's protector. He even goes so far as to defect from Shao Kahn's forces in MK3 upon learning that Sub-Zero is on Earthrealm's side. It's a real problem with fighting game rivalries that they either stagnate with no progression because one of the two dying would remove them from the series, leaving two contract assassins without a single successful kill between them, or the rivalry just stops for poorly considered reasons, such as a man out to avenge his murdered clan giving up and going home because his sword ran out of batteries. The MK team had already set up the idea that Bi-Han had just come back from the dead as a spectre like Scorpion did, which could have been used to keep the rivalry going forever, as every game sees the two return and we're left to wonder which one will die this time. But they didn't do that because that would be horrifically boring. Instead, they advanced the storyline, created a new dynamic where Scorpion got his revenge and now protects his murderer's younger brother, while the brother is somewhat conflicted about being aligned with his brother's killer. After Quan Chi manipulated Scorpion into thinking that Kuai Liang killed his family in MK4 and that got cleared up, the two didn't even meet again until the intro of Armageddon because their respective plot lines went in totally different directions. Scorpion was out for revenge on Quan Chi, then working for the Elder Gods, then out for revenge on the Elder Gods, and Sub-Zero was rebuilding the Lin Kuei, travelling outworld and trying to restore his brother. They could have just had Kuai Liang be out for revenge for his brother's death and Scorpion transfer the rivalry over to Kuai Liang after killing Bi-Han, but those are stupid generic ideas and the team were absolutely right to avoid them. But then they did it anyway. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, the retelling of MK2, has Kuai Liang arrive in Outworld explicitly to hunt down the one responsible for his brother's death with no mention of finishing his mission. This was one of the elements from Shaolin Monks that then made their way over into MK 2011 for its retelling of MK1 and 2. Here, Kuai Liang is out for revenge again and doesn't even know who killed his brother, making one wonder whether it was Sector not telling the Grandmaster or the Grandmaster not telling Kuai Liang. Of course, the finishing his mission motive was basically unusable here thanks to Bi-Han's MK1 motive being inverted. Kuai Liang goes to the Colosseum to demand a fight with Scorpion, who just decides to fight Kuai Liang on the grounds that he's Sub-Zero now, so fuck that guy. While it was nice to see them become allies in MKX and them going on missions together in MK11 was one of that story's highlights, I really don't think their relationship was improved over the old timeline by having the rivalry transfer over. The only thing I think could have improved the old dynamic would be Scorpion helping Kuai Liang to track down and restore Bi-Han and Smoke during Armageddon, with Hanzo feeling responsible for his old nemesis suffering this fate worse than death and wanting to help reunite the brothers. Then you could have the two confront Quan Chi during Armageddon, Bi-Han avenging his corruption and Scorpion avenging his family. Hanzo and Kuai Liang burying the hatchet after years of feuding is a solid concept that does require the rivalry transfer, but it's definitely inferior to the far more interesting dynamic we had originally, and that's the dynamic I'd love to see fleshed out in a cinematic story mode. Hopefully the next reboot can give us that, and hopefully without Quan Chi's direct involvement this time. Originally, Quan Chi was inserted into the rivalry in mythologies only to explain why both characters were in the same place at the same time for their fight to the death and lay the foundation for MK4's plot. Then DCU claimed Quan Chi is the one who revived Scorpion as a Spectre, which carried over to 2011, which also established him as the one who brought back fucking everyone including Bi-Han, and it's presented in such a way as to imply that Scorpion's revival was just a means to get Bi-Han as a minion, leaving Hanzo twiddling his thumbs in the Netherrealm until Bi-Han dies again. Hey Liu Kang, can you do me a favour and leave Quan Chi out of this timeline? I'd really appreciate it. Hello? If you liked this video, why not subscribe and support me on Patreon like these fine people here? If not, then make sure to share it with your enemies so they can suffer along with you.